Hello folks, it's January, excuse me, it's January the 2nd, so Happy New Year to everybody. Right, today we're back with another section of my Hugo Award winners project. I've got two books for you today. Now, just for anybody who's not familiar with this project, when I read a lot of science fiction back in the 60s and 70s, it was mainly short stories that I read for one reason or another. I did read some novels, but not as many as I should have. So now it's become a nostalgic thing with me. I'm back collecting and reading again, and I decided to read some novels. I thought, okay, where do I start with that? So I decided the best way would be to go with novels that had won awards. And I went with the Hugo Awards, actually, which were given for the best novel of any given year to the best science fiction book of that particular year. So that's basically what it is. It's not, when I talk about the books, it's not, I don't regard it as a review, because I don't start picking the nits out of it, and going into the ins and outs of it and criticising this and praising that. It's mainly my impressions of the book. And I try to keep it as short as possible. Now, today is a strange one, because in 2010, the Hugo Award was given to two novels. It was a tie, and it doesn't happen very often. I think it might have happened once again, but in 2010 it happened for, I believe, the second time, and I've moved, as you can tell by the 2010 date, I've moved properly into contemporary now. And the first, so I'm just being harassed by my cat here. Clear off. Right, the first book I want to talk about is The City and the City by China Miéville. Now, I've heard, I do a lot of research and stalking around YouTube sites that deal with science fiction books, and this name pops up quite a lot. So I thought, okay, we'll do the 2010 one and have a go at him. Now, this book is, I'll tell you the setup. Excuse me, will you clear off out of it? Oh, cats, man. Pain in the backside. Come on, shift. I'm trying to do a video here. Thank you. Right, back to the video. Right, yes. Where was I? The setup for this book is a strange one. Basically, you have two cities that occupy the same space. So if you've got a street, say the High Street with number 33, and you have 35 next door, one could be in one city and one in the other. Okay? Now, the cities are set in some unspecified Eastern European, by the sound of the names, country, and they have different laws, different governments, different language, in fact, and the residents of the two cities are not allowed contact with each other. It's a process of unseeing everybody else. I mean, there are some parts of the city where people are are walking beside each other, but they belong to different cities. And this unseeing has to be, I mean, it has to be done, but in extreme cases, if someone tries to, say, cross over from one city to the other without permission, it's called a breach, and a sort of small b, and in which case the breach with a big B come and more or less disappear you. A bit like the KGB, you know. And there is a way where you can travel between the two cities, and that's sort of like a central hub, which is called Copula Hall. It's sort of a customs area, and the basic plot is that a young girl is murdered and disfigured in Ulcoma, which is one of the cities. And I should have mentioned that earlier, actually. And she's found in Bejol, which is the other city. So killed in one and moved physically into the other. And it falls on a detective called Theodore Borlu, whatever you pronounce it, to solve the problem, solve the riddle, if you like. And this leads to kind of the uncovering of conspiracies and what have you. I can't tell you too much without spoilers, which I don't like to do in these videos. But yeah, I mean, he peels away the onion skins, and I mean, I can tell you that this girl is an architect, and it's all to do with what she finds. There is a mention of a third city, which is between the two cities apparently, but it's just a myth. And as I say, it's sort of like a police procedural come mystery come thriller. Now, I rack my brains trying to think of why this won a science fiction award, because it doesn't mention that it's set in the future, so there is no science fiction attachment that I can see. There certainly are no fantasy tropes at all. So the only thing I can pigeonhole it with is speculative fiction, which, you know, in the old days used to run side by side with science fiction. So that's, I would imagine that's how it became the winner of a science fiction award. Excuse me, there's a telephone behind me now. Cats and telephones, great for doing YouTube videos, but never mind. Right, I thought it was a good book. I think it's probably one of the most recent books I've read, if not the most recent book I've read, and I enjoyed it. It's not a too long book. It runs to just over 360 pages. And as I say, it was one of those books where I didn't really keep looking at the page count to see where I was and how long it was going on. The only thing that I didn't like about it was Mieville's style at times. It wasn't one of these where you could just it wasn't easy reading. You know, his writing style is slightly peculiar to me, anyway. For that reason, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 5 is average, I would give it an 8, a solid 8. Now, I mentioned that there were 2 winners in 2010, so I thought I'd tackle the other one. No, this is The Wind-Up Girl by... Tricky name, this. I'll have a punt at it. Paolo Bacigalupi, is it? Bacigalupi, yeah. Either that or Bacigalupi, I'm not sure, but Bacigalupi sounds better. Now, this one was actually recommended to me by one of the viewers on here. And after I read the first 50 pages, I was wondering to myself, now why has it been recommended? But I'll just give you a quick rundown of the rather complex plot. Now, in the first instance, it is a book that's written from the point of view of several protagonists, which I don't normally like. But for this book, it seemed appropriate. So I'll just give you a brief idea of the plot. It's set in the 23rd century, where energy has been depleted, food is hard to come by, and food is actually processed by gene ripping, is it? Anyway, it's a way of producing a natural food, actually. And the book is set in Thailand, which has closed itself off. And it has these seed banks which enable the problems that beset the countries outside, which are sort of plagues and ecological disasters and what have you, and illness caused by the genetically modified food, which can get I forget what they call it in the book, but it's basically can go bad and cause people to die, basically. But in Thailand, they have a seed bank which actually replenishes the food, and they don't have to worry about this the problems from the genetically modified food. Now, it's going to be difficult for me to tell you much about the plot without giving away a lot of spoilers, but basically you have all of these protagonists all with their own agenda, and the titular wind-up girl here is not in the book a lot, but her name's Miko, and she is a genetically modified human being from Japan, and she's smuggled in and ends up working in this bar where she's sexually abused, basically, and she wants to move north because she's heard of a group of new people which they call these genetically modified people. Now, she does something in the book that has consequences for all of the protagonists in the book, and I won't say any more than that because, as I say, if you want to read it, I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, that's really all I can say about that book. It is written in a straightforward manner, so I found it easy to read. In places, it's a page turner, and it is a sort of like I wouldn't say a mystery thriller, but it is a mystery sort of like. Yeah, I suppose you could call it a mystery thriller on second thoughts. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I mean, it runs to over 500 pages. It runs to just over 500. So it's quite a hefty tome, which took me a while to read because I generally read for 2 to 3 hours a day. So it took a little while. On a scale of the usual scale of 1 to 10, with 5 being average, I'd give it a 9. It was really interested. I mentioned earlier about the person on the channel that said that it was well worth a read, and after 50 pages, I wasn't convinced. But then got better and better, and it became, as I say, really good. So, folks, that's my latest two Hugo winners. Both of them quite decent. I don't know whether to stay in contemporary territory or move back. I'll probably move forward a bit more, because I did get a couple of books out the library that are later than these two, which I haven't got, and I might do those, and then move back to the good old vintage stuff that I I know and love. Yeah, okay, so that's it for this video, folks. Thank you in the past year for supporting and sharing and subscribing, whatever. Particular thank you to those that have moved from my old collecting channel into the science fiction stuff that I'm doing. Appreciate that. I could do with a few more viewers, but that might come in time, hopefully. So thank you once again, and Happy New Year once again, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye now.